Hello everyone and welcome back to the Football Forecast. In today's video I am going to be going through my team of the season so far. If you enjoy this video, it'd be great if you could subscribe to the YouTube channel. So starting off with the keeper, and I think there's three keepers you can really talk about. I do think there is one standout one. The first keeper you could talk about is Vicario. Vicario I think's had an excellent season so far with Spurs. I know he had some troubles against Aston Villa. Maybe that's why he isn't the choice for the keeper I've made. I also think Vicario hasn't been good as the other one I'm going to mention later. The other one is David Raya. This is purely due to clean sheets, but I think this is more because of how good Arsenal's defence really is. So I'm not going to go with David Raya. But the keeper I am going to choose is a new signing, Robin Roos, for Sunderland. Robin Roos has been absolutely superb so far this season, kept them in games at points, and one of the reasons why Sunderland are currently in the top four. That's not to say, though, the overall team of Sunderland have done a great job, but he has made some crucial saves at points. So going into right back, and I think there are three right backs you could consider. The first one is Daniel Munoz. Munoz has been excellent so far this season, being a real threat, I think, in behind, running in behind as well for Crystal Palace. And he does really have a real attacking influence on whatever Crystal Palace do. He's often an out ball, and he's often the person that makes that final pass and is very important in the last play for Palace. And he's actually been very good defensively so far this season. I think another one you could consider is Reece James. I think when Reece James has had limited minutes so far this season, not as many minutes as maybe he was hoping for, he's been absolutely excellent. He was brilliant in the game against Liverpool when he had to fill in that right centre half. And I think the fact that he can play in midfield, right back, centre half, just shows the quality of the player. And I do think he is still one of the best right backs in the world. But someone I think's just been slightly better so far this season is Jurrien Timber, and he would be my choice. As I said, Arsenal's defence has been absolutely excellent this season, and I think he's a crucial part of that right now. So then we've got the centre halves, and I think there's quite a few centre halves to discuss. The first two, I think, are the two Sunderland players of Alderete and Mukiele. I think they've both been absolutely brilliant. I'd say Alderete's maybe been slightly better, but I wouldn't argue with you if you said Mukiele has been the better as that right centre half. Both of them are crucial for why Sunderland are currently in fourth place. I do think Alderete is unlucky to miss out, but I haven't quite managed to squeeze them in. And that is because my first in half is Matthias de Ligt. And a lot of people say, why have you got de Ligt? I think de Ligt's been excellent since he signed for Manchester United. I really do. But I think this season he's gone up to another level. I think people are starting to recognise how good de Ligt really is and why he was actually so good at Ajax when he's 18, why he went to Juventus, why he went to Bayern Munich, and and I think he's a crucial reason actually why United are having, I think, a pretty good season so far. And I think he's probably United and one of the most underrated players in the league right now. The other centre halves I would consider is Mickey van der Ven for Spurs. I think Van der Ven's been very good, come up with a lot of goals so far this season, and I think he's really important to everything that Spurs have done. But I think another centre half that's even more important on the other side of North London, and he also is a big goal scorer, is Gabriel. I think it's very rare these days you see Gabriel make a mistake. The one mistake I can pick out this year was against Newcastle away from home up against Voltemade. But overall in that game, he was brilliant. He got the winner, and as he's always done, he's got loads of goals, got assists this season, and he's absolutely crucial to everything that Arsenal do in both boxes. Then into left back, and I think the left back choices, there's between two players. The first one is Riccardo Calafiori. I think Calafiori's had a good season so far for Arsenal, and in fact a very good season for Arsenal. And once again, he's been a major reason why Arsenal was so good defensively. I do sort of think, though, there is something to do with Arteta just sets him up in such a defensive matter, in such an actually good way defensively, which it does make players look slightly better, but that is credit to Mikel Arteta. I think another one, this wouldn't be my pick, but wouldn't be out of the two, is Nico O'Reilly. Just like to give a shout out to O'Reilly. I think O'Reilly's actually had a very good season so far, but my choice is going to be Marc Cucurella. I think Marc Cucurella has been brilliant so far this season. I think a lot of people would pick Calafiori. For me, Cucurella just edges him out. I think Cucurella's been brilliant this season. I really do for Chelsea. I think in certain games he's had to do a very good job up against good wingers. I think in certain games, Marc Cucurella's done a brilliant job against basically sides as main threat. I know Mo Salah hasn't been his best so far this season, but Salah had no chance really up against Cucurella. He also exploited the weakness, as we saw at the end, getting that assist for the Esteval winner. Another example of this was up against Kudus. One of Spurs' best players this season, definitely Spurs' best forward, and he never really got a touch of the ball. So into the three in midfield, and I think this is probably the position with the most quality so far this season. And I really think it is difficult to pick. A lot of, I think, of those 8 and 6s have been absolutely brilliant this season. But the first one to discuss is Granit Xhaka. Xhaka has had a brilliant season for Sunderland, and I think it's partly due to his leadership. And if you're looking at sort of a top 5 signing, I think he's 100% in there. But I just think there are slightly better midfielders so far, and one of those is Moises Caicedo. I think Moises Caicedo has been so good for Chelsea this season. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. I think then you look at other players that could be in here, and you look at Dominic Szoboszlai, and I am picking Dominic Szoboszlai as a second midfielder. And I think Szoboszlai has been one of the main reasons why Liverpool aren't even worse when where they are. They really would be so much worse, and it's not just because of that free kick goal. It's not because of those sort of moments. It's his overall work rate, that tenacity, that energy he provides in our midfield. And I feel what we need, I think what Liverpool need is a second Dominic Szoboszlai, because he's our best player at right back, he's our best player in any of those midfield positions, and that is the issue we currently have. And for the last midfielder I have gone with is Declan Rice, been brilliant for Arsenal this season. I think he deserves to be in this midfield. Other players you definitely could have considered, maybe an Elliot Anderson at Forest, despite Forest struggling so much. Elliot Anderson's been brilliant. Sandro Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes, I think for Newcastle, have been really good this season. I thought João Palhinha has come in and done a great job for Spurs. Another very good signing, something that which they absolutely needed, that destroyer in midfield. I think the issue Spurs have in their current midfield, though, is that Frank needs to pick more creative players around a player like Palhinha, who's more of a destroyer. So then into the right wing position, and I think there's 3 players you could talk about this once again. Yakube Minte, I think, has had a good start for Brighton, but not at the level of the rest I'll be talking about. The next player is Iliman Ndiaye. I think Ndiaye is just such a creative threat for Everton. He's an absolute talent and a very good player. The next one I talk about is Kudus. Kudus, I think, has been Spurs' best attacker, as I said earlier in the video. I think he's the real only creative player so far this season. But I don't think he's good as Bryan Mbeumo, who would be my right winger for the team this season so far. I think Mbeumo's been excellent for Manchester United. I think his link-up play between him and Amad Diallo is so important to everything United. Finally, we've got the striker, and I think this is reasonably obvious. It's going to be Erling Haaland. Who else could you maybe mention? Jean-Philippe Mateta's been good for Crystal Palace. Igor Thiago has been good for Brentford. Hugo Ekitike has also been good for Liverpool. Voltemade as well. But let's be honest, none of them compare to Erling Haaland for Manchester City. Haaland, I think, has been the best player in the league so far. He's been absolutely exceptional. So then into the left wing position, I think there's 3 left wingers you could discuss. I do think there is a clear favourite one, though. The first one I think you could discuss is Jeremy Doku. I think he's done well for City so far this season. Been one of Pep Guardiola's biggest threats, I think, for Manchester City. And he was absolutely excellent in the game against Liverpool. For the next one to consider is Antoine Semenyo, and he will be winning this position. Antoine Semenyo has been outstanding for Bournemouth this season, and he's been absolutely crucial for why Bournemouth have had a very good start so far. He's a main contributor for everything Bournemouth do, and he contributes about 70% of Bournemouth's goals this season, and he's absolutely excellent down that left-hand side. He's so fast, he's so strong. But what I love about Semenyo is he does all that dirty work as well. His work rate is absolutely brilliant. And the last player is Jack Grealish, who came in on loan this season. I think he's done a good job for Everton. And then for the manager, I am between 3 managers. I'm between Mikel Arteta, Andoni Iraola, and Reggie Labrie. First of all, Arteta. I think Arteta's done a brilliant job to get Arsenal to top of the league, but I think he's meeting expectations, or just maybe above expectations. If you look at a manager like Iraola, I think Iraola is exceeding expectations, but not as much as Reggie Labrie. Labrie has got a side that a lot of people had to go down. Some people may have had them just staying up, but I don't think anybody had them in the top 4. They're almost certain to start. They could even push for European football, and the fact we're saying this is incredible considering how difficult it has been for sides to stay up recently. Let me know your thoughts on this team of the season so far. What changes would you make? And if you enjoyed this, it would be great if you could subscribe to the YouTube channel.